Gosh, really? Here we go.
It's live.
Yeah, but you got to go live, and then you got to wait for me to say live from Houston, Texas. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of What Makes You Tick. Look, I'm really excited that you're here. Before we dive in, I want to encourage you to find a way to be interactive with us. This is an interactive live session. You're encouraged to participate, ask questions, anything you can do. To ask a question, just simply drop it into. I'm going to pause for a second because it looks like I'm having some technical difficulties because LinkedIn is not. Yep, there we go. Got it. Okay, we got it locked in. I had one that wasn't going live. Sorry. Look, we're going to use LinkedIn DMs, so that's why it was important. To comment any of the things you want to comment, just put it in the comment section. I'll look behind the scenes and I'll have a link that will pop up to where I can read and see what you're saying. If you get disconnected, which it occasionally does, just simply rejoin. We know many of you are listening while commuting. That was kind of my goal for putting it this time, or you're at work. We encourage you, however you can, even as a quiet listener, just to find a way to connect. And it's important that we connect with our community. Look, again, thank you for being here. Now let's get started. My guest today is a gentleman that has helped me, and I don't know if I've ever said this out loud, but it's helped me change the view of my business. And it's helped me we were talking beforehand, how it helped me connect things that I'd done in the past, changing families and changing connections. He's made an impact on many people's lives and redefined how they network, changing it to connections of purpose over deals that are being made. It does lead to that, but that's not the main purpose. He is a first-generation Cuban American growing with his career built in connecting people through purpose. He's held roles as director of ecosystems at the Ion here in Houston, director of corporate engagement at Houston Exponential, director of sales at Houston Partnership, and then AR manager at NOV. His work has led him to the exploration of how cities connect and collaborate in order to create a future of business and partnerships. Most of us know him through Cup of Joey, a group of purposeful connection that is shown as the key to unlocking a civilization's culture. His purpose, his why, of course, is to connect others to a more fulfilling future. Please welcome Joey Sanchez to my podcast. Joey, great to have you here, man.
Yeah. Thank you. Really excited, Bryan. Like, this is 4 years in the making, I would say, from the very first day we met, and I'm happy to be here and excited to chat with you as always.
Yeah, and what's crazy, and I didn't until you have things go by so fast. We connected at Finn Hall before the Ion was even open.
Yep. Yeah, Finn Hall's. I would say Finn Hall's the center of Houston. You have a geographic, 3 rings of Houston: 610 Loop, Beltway 8, now Highway 99, and right in the middle of downtown is Finn Hall. And yeah, that's where Cup of Joey started back in 2021. It's been a great 4 years, and it's only getting started. So excited to see where Cup of Joey goes from here.
Well, look, even if it doesn't go very far, as far as, the actual what we're at right now, the impact that it's made has going to just gravitate. For me, and we were talking earlier, one of the books that I read early on in my as I was getting ready to go through divorce, and that'll be next week's focus, by the way, was A Purpose-Driven Life. And it's funny because I want to talk about books and how before that I was not a reader. And you and I were talking, not much for I grew up in Louisiana, didn't read very well. So for me, Start With Why was a book that you got me to read, whether you know it or not. And I was remembering some of the stuff that I looked at, and one of the quotes there was he made the quote is, imagine if we could have 20/20 foresight, because most of us think of hindsight as 20/20. And I was like, I remember listening to the book, or actually I read that one. Now I'm listening to it, or listening to part of it. And it was talking about, are you trying to explain, a certain outcome or desired outcome repeatedly? And then early on, he talks about manipulation versus inspiration. And I found that as huge because he separated the difference. And you probably remember this commercial. One of the things he said, like, it's, manipulation can be good. Do you remember one of my favorite commercials was, "This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs."
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah. Those, what an epic campaign to kind of just plain simple show. I mean, the effectiveness of motivation and inspiration, like that's where it's at.
Yeah, and then he goes on to talk about how we get those two confused, and he used a great analogy of how you get you hear all these connections, and you see all these pictures of these bodybuilders and how to work out and stuff, and then you go and get a gym membership. But changing the habit and being able to go is the inspiration, whereas you buying it and seeing all this stuff is the manipulation part of it. So that's my book. I want to hear. I'm here to hear from you, man. What's your book? Give me a book.
I love it because, like you mentioned, habits, and like, habits are the foundation building blocks of routine. Routine turns into culture. Culture turns into the way of being, the way of life. And I'm going to go ahead and share the book, The Ultimate Coach. I have it literally right here on my desk, and right there, Ultimate Coach. And I think the very beginning is, it talks about like who you are being, like what is your human being exemplify, like, it's built in our habits, it's built in our culture. Like, am I being you just said something interesting. You said something about grew up in Louisiana and connected that to reading. Like, that's who you were being because you were from Louisiana. You're in Houston now, you're in the Woodlands. Like, who are you now? Like, what are you now? And like, when you say the foresight of 2020,
yes,
all you have to do is imagine who you are being and who you want to be, and that's who you are. And that it's such a deep, like, complex conversation that you have to have this like clear mind, clear system on like, who are you and what are you and why are you here? Like, that's all intertwined. And so the Ultimate Coach, it's kind of that first kickoff book for me to explore being and who I am and who I'm being. And I'm being me, which is unique. I'm the only one in the world. You're the only one of you.
that's it.
But if everybody can just realize that your being matters, and when you walk into a room, when you show up on a podcast, everything you do ripples into the future. It's just, how do you show up? Like, what do you do? Do you show up half-assed, or do you show up full, blown you into every situation? And that's all anybody ever wants, is just you.
No, and that's the funny thing is that's a hard one to learn. And I was, this morning on my run, I was thinking about, as I was listening to the book, about how, or the book I was listening to, how it makes an impact and how focused we get on the stuff behind us. We can't manipulate anything behind us. That's why the 2024 site, I think, oh, okay. But for me, being younger, and even, for me, at the time of my divorce, I think a year before, I realized, what am I doing? And it was exactly what you're saying. It was about, I wasn't being real to myself. I was behind the scenes or to people, but when I'd get out in front, it was like this expectation I felt like I had to have, and I couldn't say no. It's funny how the power of saying no, you should say yes. Granted, it's a difficult situation, but you have to be able to say no at times. Otherwise, you can't necessarily be who you are.
Yeah. The exercise we're going through right now is the Big Ass Calendar by Jesse Eatsner.
Okay.
Check it out. He's an entrepreneur himself, and he's built businesses. He's married to Sarah Blakely, who's the founder of Spanx. Got a big family. Like, they're just like that influential kind of family like thing. But something that I started 2 years ago was documenting on this calendar that focuses on what your priorities are for the year. So like there's a Masogi, which is your big epic thing you do once, in a lifetime. Each year you need to have one of those. And so ours starts in July and it ends in July. And like this is what we just reviewed the past year is what did we do this past year? Like what mini adventures did we go on? What winning habits did we build? What year defining thing did we do in order to say like, oh, 2024 to 2025, this is what we did. And even better, what are we going to do this upcoming year? So this whole foresight thing, like I'm with you. The past is a straight line. You can't change it. You can't break it. It's always going to be the same.
Yep.
You're at this point of inflection, and then you have a curve on the outside of all these different directions you want to go or could go. It's almost an infinite path of like direction. And you can go your default future or you can create your future. And this calendar is here to kind of nail down what you want out of your future before other people put their requests of time and effort and whatnot into your calendar, right? Because all of our calendars get filled up with other people's requests. And actually, shoot, I have the I got it for my birthday, which was this past month, and it comes with the big class calendar and then the big class planner. And I'm telling you, man, like this is something I've lived by for the last 2 years, and it's how I got our family to Europe for a whole month. You literally put down all of the dates that you want, all the important things in your life that you want to create and you want to make happen, and then you work backwards. Right. So without putting that foresight into action, it's pointless. Most people are on autopilot right now.
Correct.
They don't have the time or ability or the mental clarity to decide what they want. Like, what big audacious thing do you want to achieve in the next year? Like, that's a question that, my wife and I were just talking about.
It's funny because I've got markers. I used to do this all the time, and I haven't done it in a while. I've got markers I just put in my bathroom so I can write that on my mirror. Like what's those are things. What's the big thing I want? Not my goal. That's what I want to figure out. Well, look, I'm a guy that I want to make an impact in somebody's life. I want to make, that's what I'm built for. So being able to find a job or something I can in education to take what you and what you've kind of inspired and where I made the connection of understanding that our kids don't have a purpose. They don't understand their why. If you can do that at a young age and incorporate, then you create buy-in and then they're learning. As they learn, now they grow and they can start understanding, okay, now here's my path. So their path, instead of having these, you need to go to college, you need to do this, and they have all these options, now they've narrowed it down to something that they really want. So they have something to work for. That's your why. That's your buy-in. And I think both of us, Daniel's asked the question of how, I'm going to read his question, of how do I weaponize, he's going from transition from work for somebody else to working for himself. And he's trying to push further. So how does he weaponize and internalize his why? I think we just answered that without intentionally answering it.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, like someone just called it today, your inner genius. Like, what is it that why were you made? What's the purpose? Like, there's some reason why you're here on this earth. Like it's, it could be spiritual. It could be, random, but there's a reason. And like, mine is connection. I love connecting with people. I love connecting with community, with cultures, and building that is what I've been trying to build through a business, is like a culture and connection platform where people can express themselves. And I think that's really what people just need to do, is find what they want. I've yet to tell people what their purpose is at Cup of Joey. I've not been like forwardly like, hey, this is your purpose, like, or take my course and here's your purpose. That's not necessarily what I've done. I've always asked people to explore it by themselves. Now, granted, having a coach or a guide, great idea.
Helps.
Working on that. But when it comes down to it, like, this is something you have to decide, and it's something you have to like tackle head on.
Yep.
And that's the only way you're going to be proud of what you create.
So, part of what we normally do here is we've talked about a lot of, because you have to have the foundation of trust and clarity. You've already said it a couple of times in what we're talking about. So you can obviously see, or our audience can obviously see how big that is, because this is called the What Makes You Tick, Trust, Clarity, and Traction podcast. But I do want to ask one of the things that we also briefly talked about, with everything that's gone on with our remote society. I was talking to my brother-in-law yesterday. He's in a hybrid situation, which before the pandemic he wasn't, and he loves it. And he's going in the office a couple of days. But there's so much of the interaction piece that we meet. What do you think is the importance of building trust and clarity within a remote setting? And what are some tips that you could give the audience to help?
So when you're talking in a professional setting, which I actually think we need to step back even further, because those who are having trouble at home, working from home, that are working remote and in a professional setting, they probably have another layer to their challenge of, like, their community is remote, their family is remote, their connections are all online, which doesn't necessarily, like, if you have that plus your job is also virtual, boy, you're in for like a tough gig.
Yeah.
But if you can create an in-person community in the place that you live and the civilization that you choose to be a part of, then you can, like, work from home pretty easily, because now you're not commuting. Now you're not, doing the stuff that you don't want to do. You're doing the stuff that you want to do. So I think it's a whole challenge around just the digital sphere of humanity that's crept in the last 20 years and is only going to get more intense as we go. So if we can figure out a way to create human connection where you live, you don't necessarily need an office culture. You don't. You like, but if you don't have that in-person community in your neighborhood and in which you like your day-to-day life, and you have a remote office job, good luck. That's going to be a tough world to navigate. Like, and then we saw, during the pandemic, everyone had to be socially distant, and that just added into the struggles, because you were forced to be separate at home and at work. So that's where really, I think, society cracked a little bit, but we haven't healed that crack, and we haven't even like paid attention to it. We kind of just went back to normal or normal.
It's going to take off here where, I mean, I'm finding myself, because I'm doing this, summer, I've moved, there's been a lot of change. And before I went back to teaching, it was that same type of setting. I'm getting to the point where, and I used to be more introverted, fairly introverted, or had a big, I'm craving being around people. I miss that. I never thought I would ever say that, but and I can imagine there's a bunch of people out there that are the same way.
I think so. I mean, I think there's a whole generation that you've been teaching that is craving to be around people. You're seeing the backlash on dating websites and turning it into any sort of physical activation of randomness is welcome by Gen Z that wasn't necessarily there, 10 years ago, because we thought, oh, this more efficient is better. And it's not necessarily the truth when it comes to social norms and social connectedness.
And I'm seeing it in the kids. Look, let me take a break real quick. First of all, I want to kind of do just a real quick reset. This is my fifth podcast. Welcome to my fifth podcast with my guest, Joey Sanchez. It's called What Makes You Tick. It's an authentic, relaxed, purposeful conversation about trust, clarity, and traction in our business and our personal lives. It's why do we do this? It's to help incorporate your purpose, which Joey's a perfect person to have this conversation, into what you do and the impact in your life and the impact you make on others. Sharing business and personal stories is what we're going to do, or how we're going to do it, to build a culture of trust, creating clearly impactful messages as leaders with insight on how we can build traction within your lives. So Joey, real quick, you've got, let's see, I'm gonna have to put my readers on. I can't do this. I've been looking at the computer too long today. Shelly says, hi, Joey Sanchez. And Sharonda wants to know where you found that book.
Which one? The Ultimate Coach?
Yes.
Or the big class planner? The Ultimate Coach was given to me by a friend, Bob Hurd, who's been invested in my life of like, showcasing me like just how he has done his life and how he has navigated through the world. And, it's so awesome to listen to Bob speak because he can really dive into like counterculture. When I say counterculture, I mean, our culture is built for our minds to be almost checked out. Whether you're at work and you're checked out, and then you come home and you watch TV and you're checked out, like we need to get back into our own mind and like take it back for ourselves and like be more intentional with what we do with our lives. Like, that's where purpose matters for me at Cup of Joey is like, I'm wanting to know what your fulfilling future looks like.
Yes.
Most people can't answer that. Like I ask hundreds of people a week and most don't know what their fulfilling future looks like. That's a hard question to answer.
Yes. Yes.
But the only way to answer it is to say it out loud. Like, what does your fulfilling future look like? What is it like? And is it you creating that, or is it your culture, your systems, your
everything you
internal,
see, your Facebook, your social media?
Oh
everything.
My gosh.
Yeah.
The algorithm of the world is telling you versus what you really want. Because ultimately, at the end, when on your deathbed, like, what are you going to remember? It's what you did in your life. The shots you took on goal, the mountains you tried to climb, those proverbial like things that you tried to do with your short time on earth, like that's what you can do. So
and failure is such a big part of that. And I think pre-COVID, it was a different feel. And now that you have AI and you have different connections around and what our future exactly looks like, I'm concerned that some of us handle failure completely different and a lot harder now than we did before because it's in your face.
Okay, I get you on that. Like I'm also feeling like our culture doesn't allow failure. Like, so it's in your face. So like there's no kindness to those who fail. Like there's no sportsmanship to the failure. Like it instantly goes to the news headline. Oh, you failed. You can't, like, don't get back up. But if you look at every single motivational like athlete and all that, it's all about the ones that got back up and tried again and tried again. And so like the scary part is that we're manufacturing this into our culture, into our lifestyle, is like, don't let your kids fail. Like you have to schedule them 24 hours a day at every single play date, and everyone gets a ribbon. Don't let them fail because their feelings will get hurt. When kids are supposed to fail, because that's when they're in the safe zone of their families and their communities. Like, hey, fail, but we've got your back. Like, we're not going to let you like hit the ground, but we will let you like feel that sting of like being second or coming in last. These are things that another book, I'm just pulling these out of my desk, is the iGen. And I'm going to read this. It says, why today's super connected kids are growing up less rebellious, more tolerant, less happy, and completely unprepared for adulthood. That's scary as hell. Not that, like, I mean, I don't feel like I was prepared for adulthood. I don't know if anybody really is prepared. But there's this like shift of like, man, they're not even like able to hold a conversation or eye contact or like, and you see it on a daily. So like, let me know if it's shifting. But this glut of like COVID kids, like who now are going to have AI to do everything for them. Like, what are we going to do about this? Like, what the education system is in for some hurt.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think we should change the AI to a Texas voice. Go, yes, sir, man. We need to do this, and you need to do that, and we just need to get on with this. Hey, boy, you're screwing up. You need to get right. You know, those things that you might, you know what I'm talking about. I think that's what the Texas version. Hey, Houston. Hey, get a lasso, boy. Let's go. I'll teach you how to fail and I'll succeed all at once.
I'm listening.
It's funny. Because a lot of the things that we do and a lot of things that I'm seeing from the kids are they're in their screens. I think some of that's changing, but it's funny because I got an article that's posted on I haven't got a chance to read it. I'll read it tonight. And I read the first part of it. It's about how when they first came up with laptops and everything was pushed as it's going to take time away. It's not. But I will say this with AI, I was having a conversation. So my son, my 18-year-old, has decided he wants to start a business and he's running a pressure washing business. And I'm like listening to it. He's doing everything online, learning it. I'm like, that's awesome. I love his drive. There's still some things that we need to do because they don't have that. This generation doesn't have the get your hands dirty like we used to because we didn't have all the stuff that we had to do. So there's a gap there in the sales piece. There's a gap that we're working on.
Okay.
And we're talking today, like a lot of the stuff that I do, the writing that I do, I'll go now. And cause I got that Cajun in me. Yeah. So I don't have that education system. No. So I need help writing things. I know what I want to say. I want to get those thoughts out. And so I've been using a lot of AI to plan and write and do some different things. I had a conversation with him, and in the middle of the conversation, I started laughing. And he goes, "What, Dad?" I said, "Everything that just came out of my mouth was better said because I'm using AI.
Yeah.
Not instead of like what I'm afraid of, and what we've already seen on the other side is the other side of that. Kids will do it on AI, copy paste, and shoot it off without even knowing what it said. That's not
with you. So this pressure washing business, like let's stay there because that was my first business when I was junior in high school.
Yeah.
I went from mowing lawns from $20 a lawn to pressure washing, which turned into $150 per driveway. And I made $6,000 in a summer. Me and my two friends, we had two power washers. One was sweeping down and like, boy, I wish I had ChatGPT to build the business model for me, to show me that gas costs money and the trip and, the pre and post and like how much to save, what profit was. I wish all of that was there. But we had the sales thing and we had the grit to go door to door and we knocked and knocked and knocked and we covered a whole subdivision down in Sugarland and we made money. And that was my first taste of business. And it's funny because like now I'm still struggling with the same like elements that I was struggling back then. But if your son can learn the business side and he's coached by you and like by others on the sales or the in-person or the getting dirty and like, so what you're telling me is that the difference between a winner and a super winner is going to be that grit, that determination, get knocked down, stand up, get dirty, go face to face, because building the business, writing the plan, writing the post, that all can be automated, but this can't. Like you can't automate that feeling someone gets when you knock on the door and they put the trust in you to do a good job.
Yeah, there were two things that it's funny because coaching and all the years coaching, there were two big things that you learned that you could control: your attitude and your effort. That's it.
Yep.
You have no control over everybody else's reaction, and that's one of the concerns I have. But the funny thing is, I'm also having these conversations with him, Joey, about because I had to go through failure, and I had to do like I'm watching him build this business. I had to go through a business that didn't work out. My son's gotten into some things that have my other son that are kind of troublesome.
Yeah.
And he's gone down a bad path. He's starting to correct that, but he is going through some stuff that I, out of the randomness of life, had to go through to prep me to help him go through that. They're failures, but at the same time, it's like, those are expertise. How do you give me one thing real quick? One thing that the failure helped you in your expertise, or that you feel like you're an expert or close to one at?
Oh man, like the kids portion of this just gets me like so much, because that's where I'm at in life. 8-year-old, 5-year-old, and 2-year-old. And my 5-year-old wanted to learn to swim this summer. So come June 1st, she's like, all right, let's go swim. I never learned to swim. And that's an embarrassing, element to share, is like, I actually went to go be a YMCA lifeguard when I was 15. And they said, well, you have to pass the swim test. And I was like, well, I'm out, because I can't swim across the pool without stopping, and so that my whole entire life, I've told myself, I can't swim, I can't swim, I can't swim. And then my 5-year-old's here, and she's saying like, hey, I want to learn to swim. So instead of going to like AI, ChatGPT, or Gemini, we go to YouTube and we look up Aqua Bubble swim class, and it has a 9-day program. And every night we watched like the foundations, blowing bubbles, dunking your head, gliding from the wall, floating on your front, on your back, all the songs, everything we did. And I'm over here like absorbing the content at the same time. So this is a failure, like that I thought I was a failure at, which is swimming my entire life, to now I'm learning alongside my daughter on YouTube. Saved us, the $250 for a swim class for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And she's over here motivated in the water, swimming like a pro now. A mermaid, sorry, she's a mermaid. And I'm alongside swimming with her and like feeling more confident. Same thing with reading. My 8-year-old is looking to read. He started reading chapter books, and I started reading them to him.
Mm-hmm.
I told myself my whole entire life that I was not a reader. I told myself my entire life I'm not a swimmer. What else have I been telling myself that I'm not, just to cop out of actually doing it, right?
So one of the keys, and we're gonna have to reset here in a second, but I did want to say one of the funny things that I learned was, instead of saying I'm not, just say yet. Add yet to the end of everything, and it opens up a path of where you can. I'm just not there yet.
Yeah.
And that was what you were. For me, I grew up swimming. I mean, I had family that had a pool, and I was a lifeguard. I was a lifeguard supervisor. I actually was director of operations at a water park. So yeah, all that stuff.
And that's where, so like, what else have I been, like, going back to my power washing where I didn't know business. I still tell myself that, but like, now is the, like, these are the conversations of who I am, or like what I think I am versus what I should be, or what I think I want to be.
Yes.
That's the difference. Is you got, like you just said it, like that whole past, that line is over. You
can't change it.
And don't get stuck in that line.
Yes.
Don't give that to yourself. Every day you have a chance. And then with that foresight 2020, who do you want to be? Who do you want to create yourself to be? Well, like, I'll tell you mine. I want to be a wildly successful business owner with, profit over $1 million for Cup of Joey. It's not I want, I am. And that's who I'm going to be, because I don't have to listen to my old garbage in my head of I don't swim, I don't read, I only made $6,000 in the power washing bit, which was great for a junior. That was awesome. I got to buy a truck with it. Like, it was awesome. But like, what are we telling ourselves that we don't need to hold on to so that we can get to the next level? That's point in case. Like, the only thing I've been working on for the past year and a half is, what am I telling myself that's not it's not real anymore? Yeah. I need to create the new one.
It's a mountain. So let's reset real quick. Thank you for listening to this podcast called What Makes You Tick. Joey and I are having an authentic, purposeful conversation about trust, clarity, and traction, and how it impacts our lives. If you have any questions or comments, which we do have a couple so far, I'd love to engage with you in the chat or in the LinkedIn DMs. I do see that Adrian's chimed in. He chimed in earlier. So did Regina and Diane Sawyer. Thank you. Our new friend Diane says hello.
Love it.
Anything. So far we've talked about, failure and purpose and things that, man, gosh, the more I have these conversations, the more our kids need this. They need to be able to figure this out. But as far as advice that you would give someone who's looking, to continue what we're talking about, your dream, what other advice would you give them to make that dream reality?
That's a good question. I'm still stuck on like what I'm an expert at, right? Because you asked that earlier, and I want to make sure that I know my SWOT analysis personally, and I dug into who I am and like what I'm really good at and what I'm not very good at, and I'm trying to build those blocks of like what I'm not good at. But the expertise that I contain is a natural ability to inspire and motivate. Like since high school, like most spirited was my superlative, right? Then captain of the soccer team, student body president of the university. I create like nonverbal and verbal cues for people to use to come together as a community, right? My university, we created a hand symbol for the school, Jacksonville University. You got JU. It's also I love you in the American Sign Language.
Yeah.
And so then Blue Tile Project, now Cup of Joey. Like I love building communities, brands, and just getting people excited. My advice for people is to find out who you are. Like just be you. And like we created a bad like sentence in people's minds where we said, oh, everyone's unique, like be unique. We don't have to be unique, we have to be you. Like
you part of that. Yes,
exactly. Like like you're already unique, you don't have to be that.
It's like some people go out of their way to be unique.
Exactly. And it's a perverse kind of like trail that they take off on because you're trying to be over the top unique.
Yes.
Like be you, which there's values in there of kindness or generosity or humble or be, outspoken. Like all of those are good values. Just be you. And like, that's my advice for anybody, because like I've always been me, which has been great. Like I've just naturally been able to embrace who I was, which I feel like has given me the opportunities that I'm already been awarded or enjoyed. But that expertise is already inside any one of us. And like the be you and then realize that you matter. Like, I love going to a networking event and the people that sit on the sidelines and they think that they're not there. Like when you're in a crowd, you think that you're not there. Have you ever been in a situation where like you're trying to like stay hidden in plain sight? Like you're trying to become.
I'm that way when I'm around a girl that I want to ask out. Yes,
but see, that's exactly the opposite of what attraction is. Attraction is not hiding. Like attraction is being you, knowing that you matter to a room. You were put there for a reason, and your energy, and no matter where you are, influences everything around you. And like it's really, it gets down into the scientific like element of like your mind is like all you've got. Like another book that I'm reading, The Untethered Soul, is wild, and it's a little too dense for me to like keep going. So I have to pick it up, put it down. But like that little voice inside your head, where is it? Have you ever pointed at it? Could you wave to it? Like, where does it come from? Is it up here? Is it to the temples? Is it down here? Okay, yours is right there.
That's where most people's come from. Yeah, it's in the middle. Yeah.
Well, that's where yours is, and like that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Because you just identified that there's something inside of you talking to you. and it's the person that talks to you the most. So be kind to it, be you, and you matter. I mean, there's no sense in being without being unique to yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a big thing.
No, and it's funny because I'm laughing. Here goes another voice. We had I went to school at Henderson State. I went to 4 schools, actually 5 if you count my last class I had to take to graduate. But I went to 4 schools. At Henderson, I played baseball, was a cheerleader, and we started a fraternity. So and that fraternity is still there.
Nice.
I would have never, like baseball, absolutely, but any of the other stuff would have never dreamed of starting a fraternity. Are you kidding me? And it's still there, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Being a cheerleader, the stuff I got to do by that was amazing, and I would have never guessed that. But we had a professor, smart man, who would he'd look at you and he'd go, "You know what the smartest man is?" He goes, "The smartest man is the man that knows that he doesn't know." And we forget that. We feel like we have to know because we're in an age of where there's information like that. We forget that we're human. We don't have to know everything. And the other one, I'm laughing because you're telling you being you. I've got my Uncle Tommy, who's my godfather. I've known them forever. They're not even family, but I've always called them uncle and aunt. And their daughter is my age. We're a month apart. So we grew up together. They moved out to to Bogalusa, Louisiana. I was living in Baton Rouge, which was quite a long ways. He called me today. He and I talk once a month generally or so. And they've got this ginormous land out in Bogalusa. I've been hunting out there, go out there fishing, caught the biggest fish I've ever caught out there. It's amazing. And they have power lines, these large power lines. We got on the conversation. We've had this many times. They've seen UFOs out there. And, and he tells this story. And look, I trust this man with my life, and I'm listening and I'm going, wow, that's just amazing to be able to see all this stuff and to see the things that people won't believe. But it's possible. And he has the backing because of the research and because of everything. He's one of the smartest men that I've ever met. Physics and chemistry. Oh my God. Like he can build a bomb like nobody. You know, and he's a fantastic man. And I'm blessed to be able to have him in my life growing up and make an impact. And the fact that he and I still talk occasionally is amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You said something, you said something that's powerful that kind of wraps all of this together. Cause we talked about clarity, right? Yeah. The clarity is of the future,
right?
Like clarity is in your mind of like what you want. Most people don't know what they want. Like plain and simple, have no clue what they want. So they just take what they get, and that's cool, but it's not everything. But what you just said about your uncle is you trust him with your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like trust is a currency, and it is earned. It's not, and it's given, and it's built, and it could crumble, and all this stuff. So trust is the foundation to community, civilization. Without trust, which we're trying to automate and we're trying to legalize and we're trying to sign off on.
Yes.
But boy, how many people in your life can you trust to show up when you say they're going to show up, and like integrity and their word? So this is the foundation of like people say like, oh, well, what's Cup of Joey's about purpose. Great. It's also about goodness. Like, are you willing to change the future for good? Which means like that's innovation in the tech world, but I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about like, are you willing to change the future for good? And if so, then you're in. And if you have a purpose in life. And then the last part, it's the underlying thing, is integrity and trust. So
correct.
If integrity is a lost art, then we gotta rebuild that, and especially in our country and our schools and our like, doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. Like trust and integrity are paramount to the future.
More than you know. Yeah. I mean, look, and the funny thing is, Diane, thank you for the comment, by the way. Completely agree. But the funny thing, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I've had this debate over the last couple of weeks, especially with a lot of people, that trust, you said trust is earned. I agree. That's how but nobody gives it anymore, even if it's just a little bit, because how do you earn it if I'm not going to give you a little bit of trust to see who you are? How can I see how trustworthy you really are? Yeah. Whether you show me a fake person or not is irrelevant. It's just I give you a little bit to test you and to see where you are and to see if you're my person. That's how you build that trust. And if I'm not willing to, because of everything I've failed at, or that somebody's judged me, then I'm going to withhold that for you. When I think it's not about that, it's about you. If I trust you and you break that at some point, that's on you. It's not me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think I think a lot of us, especially with everything that's going on, has that backwards.
Yep.
That's the decisions you make are not a reflection of who I am. Going back to your original statement, once I know who I am, that's me. I choose to trust you. I choose to give this trust to you. If you choose to break it, that's on you.
Yeah, and the idea of creating the future, right, and all the possibilities.
Yes.
One of the most just powerful elements of a conversation is whether or not it's coming from the future or coming from the past. One thing about job hunts and like job discussions boils my blood. It's all about your resume. It's impossible to apply my resume to what you want today because factors have changed. Now, correct. Unearth like some things of mine of like where I want to go or why I do things or what future elements I can like build in. That's coming from the future. So conversations coming from the future are more powerful and a lot more trustworthy because when you accept someone's future conversation, you're giving them that leash of, well, here's that integrity. You said something. Did you follow up on it? And did you do it? That's how trust is earned. So what, like if we have a conversation, like let's say we say, all right, well, let's meet up Friday. And we both agree to that. And we come to an agreement that Friday's when we're going to meet.
And you don't show up.
Then I've broken the trust. And after I said that I would, then the trust is broken.
That's on you.
You at least gave me that opportunity to earn the trust, right? So like that's the leader being a leader in your life and in others to say like, hey, I'm gonna give you a chance in the future. Here's what I'm gonna do. Did you say yes? Yes. And then we show up or we don't. And so that's our life.
And that gives us the next opportunity, which is forgiveness, which I forgive. And it was funny because I heard this once and it stuck. And it was, I mean, I was a middle-aged adult, I think, when I heard it, is that I forgive for me, not for you. Because if I forgive you, then it allows me to move on and it allows you to move on. It's like if I have a business relationship or a dating relationship, I'll forgive you and then move on. Whether we move in the same path, I don't know. But if I forgive you, now I can move on and I can let go. But I can also let you go so you can find what you need, whether it's a personal relationship or a business relationship. And who's to say that path doesn't align and stay together? And I think we miss that and we put walls up where we don't need. That's one of the last thing we would discuss is how would I give advice to younger people. That's it, is about earning trust and being able to give trust and then how to forgive. Those are my three things what about you?
I love that. No, I'm with you, man. Inside my wedding ring, like it's usually engraved with like something or saying, mine says, Jesus, I trust in you. That is that's been my go-to prayer or like thought since I was 16.
Yeah.
And it has fueled my fire of who I am and what I'm due. But the foundation of my faith is forgiveness. I mean, that's it. Like that
it has to be.
But you have to choose to be that. You have to choose, that direction, right? So those who allow the world to just choose them, it's not going to work out.
No.
But if you're willing to stand up and choose the direction that you want to go, just by the thought alone, you are in a fulfilling future. And so that's where I kind of boil it all down to, in trust and clarity.
Yes.
I mean, it's simple, and it's something that I get to hold with me like every day, and then I just get to be me. There's actually a big freedom once you follow a certain level of rules. Like we could talk for hours, but this is something that that just boils my blood in America, is the absolute freedom on both sides of the aisle, where you think that you can do whatever you want and however you want, and like just America, I'm free. No.
There's a cost.
America, there is rules, there is expectations, there is a level of community, and then we all get to live free. And so that's kind of the foundation of freedom. So trust, clarity, I'd add in freedom. Freedom is what comes of it, and it's up here, it's here, and it's amongst others. Like when everyone's willing to forgive and give trust, there's a sense of freedom and like enjoyment that comes from it. So I'm a big believer of all this, man, and it, I hope it comes out through Cup of Joey. I hope it comes out through a business that I can create, that people get what I'm trying to put down,
right,
just by grabbing a bag of coffee off the shelf or a mug or a cup and saying like, yeah, I believe this too. I'm with you. Like that's what I'm trying to build, is a movement that creates ripples into the future on trust, on clarity, and on freedom.
Yeah, no, and I would agree. I think that's a great call to action for sure. As I was doing research for our podcast, I noticed that you went to Elkins at the same time they won 3 baseball state championships.
Yep.
I was coaching against you at that time.
Yeah, it's part of my past. You know, I played on the soccer team there. The baseball team produced some massive players that,
yes, they did.
Some are at the end of their career in the MLB, but ultimately, like it would be cool to see like what the next 3 months, next 3 years, next 20 years look like, but not from the perspective of like what's going to happen, but what are we going to put into it to make it a purposeful, fulfilling future.
Right. Look, I know we're almost, Joey and I could sit here and have conversations about this all day. But I got somebody in my ear. Well, I think, wait, no, that's my own voice telling me.
It's right here. It's not in your ear. It's right up here.
It's right here.
Yeah.
So this shirt is one of my friends. She had breast cancer a long time ago. She started Daily Greens, healthy. Shauna Martin's her name. That's what I knew her as. I've known her for a long time. I saw it. I was like, I'm going to wear this today. Look, thank you for everything, Joey. I appreciate everything that we've done and everything we're trying to build with Cup of Joey. It's definitely an inspiration. And it's one of those things where I think it can have a bigger impact on everything else outside. And it's spread. I mean, when we went down there, it was something I knew up here in the Woodlands that we could do, and it would fit. It's been one of those things that's energized me, and it's created, with my education background, an understanding of how this could be incorporated in education. By the way, if you're out there and you're looking for a good sales guide, business development for education, just letting you know, I can help. But it's also been a blessing to be able to go like through that, going back to teaching after being out. The energy that I get to bring to a classroom is different. And the one thing, based on, and maybe I've said this before, but the one thing that I want to do when I come across people, and especially if I go to class, I may be that only positive energy they see in a day. Then I'm going to be that only positive energy they see in a day.
That's awesome, man. And like, you've got the right stuff. And now, what if we created another million people who have positive energy just by creating more connection and more intentionality, more purpose, more goodness? That's the goal. And if you guys want to come join the movement, the platform, the connection world that we're building, it's not just an event. It's so much more than that. It's how you talk to people. It's how deep you want to go in your relationships. So check out cupofjoey.org. Come find us, or just strike up a conversation in a coffee shop and see what happens. Ask someone a real question, not talking about the weather or what they do for a job, but something deeper that connects people, human to human. So
No,
check
and
us
it's
out.
funny. No, and I'm honored to have you on today, and it was with a purpose. And you're talking about you never know when you're going to. I could tell you stories about next in a couple of weeks. I'll have one of my former players on who's now a chiropractor, and he's an awesome guy. But one of the biggest honors. I'll end on this. One of the biggest honors I had so far was I went into church yesterday, and Steve Bradley is my pastor. And I'm walking in. I haven't seen him in a while, and I'm getting ready to. I reach down to grab the paper, and I look up, and he's walking at me, and he goes, "Hey, go ask me about the family." And we talked for a second. And this next question was, "Hey, man, how's the podcast?" I went, "What? How do you know I have a podcast?"
Awesome.
So, Steve, if you're watching or if you're not, please do. I appreciate that, and it was just amazing to be because I don't see him all the time. Yeah. No, look, Joey, thank you so much. If you want to connect with Joey, LinkedIn is probably still the best way. Yes.
Yep. Find Cup of Joey on LinkedIn or Joey Sanchez. It's exactly how it's spelled. And happy to connect, happy to be in person, have a cup of coffee. Our next event is actually tomorrow night at the Pinstripes for veterans. Mm-hmm. We actually host a Cup of Joey from 5:30 to 8 at Pinstripes in combination with the Houston Veterans Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. And then Wednesday down in Sugarland at the Marriott down in Town Center, Sugarland Town Center. And then Friday at the Ion. So come and find me. And yeah, just thank you, Bryan, for everything you're doing. Good luck. And I'm happy to promote and share all the good work that you're doing.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. And a lot of it's because of Cup of Joey and the relationships we've developed there through this. Look, let's go out and make an impact on our lives and our community through trust, clarity, and traction and freedom too. Let's be transitional over transactional in any relationship we have, business or personal. You can find me on LinkedIn to stay connected for future episodes and deeper conversations. Joey, again, it was amazing. Find my friend and connect with him, please. Join us next week for a conversation with Ulysses Laramendi, who is an amazing human who I had the privilege of getting his business when I worked for Gordon Foods. Have a fantastic week. See ya.
Later. Thank you.